Hi. Now, if you've been watching earlier videos in my series on surds, you'll know that I showed you the rule that the root of AB was equal to root of A multiplied by root B. And we can reverse that rule round and get root A multiplied by root B equals the root of AB. And that's the purpose of this particular video, to show you how we can multiply surds together. And I've got several examples here that use this idea. Now when we get to the last question here, I'm going to get you to pause the video and have a go at it. Or you might in fact want to pause the video at this stage and just try your hand at any of these examples. Okay, well, I'll run through the first few anyway. Now what we've got here is 5 root 3 multiplied by 3 root 2. And to do this, all we've got to do then is just multiply the 5 and 3 together, giving us 15, and multiply root 3 with the root 2. And according to this rule here, root 3 multiplied by root 2 is going to be root 6. 15 root 6 then. Now, sometimes you're going to get squares of roots, and there's a quick way of doing this, but for the moment what we'll do is we'll just do root 5 all squared. Root 5 all squared is obviously going to be root 5 multiplied by another root 5, and according to the rule up here, this is going to be equal to the square root of 5 times 5, in other words root 25. And then if we take the square root of 25, it's going to be 5. And don't forget, it's not going to be plus or minus, because if you square a particular value, it's always going to be positive. So we'd expect the positive value out of here. Now, when it comes to root 3 all squared, what's that going to be? Well, it's going to be root 3 multiplied by another root 3, which is going to be the root of 9. And the root of 9 is 3. But do we really need to go through all these steps here, when all that happens is that the answer is the value inside the square root when we square it? So all we need to do is remember this rule, and that is that if you've got the square root of some number, let's just call it A though, in general, if you were to square it, what's the answer? It's just A. So this is a rule worth remembering so that you don't have to write out too many stages. Now, in this next example, it kind of uses this rule, as well as showing you how to expand brackets. We should be familiar with expanding brackets anyway. We take the first term here, multiply it by each of the terms in the bracket, and then we take the next term and multiply it by each of the terms in the bracket. So if you're doing this one, you've got 2 root 5 multiplied by 4. So 2 root 5 multiplied by 4 gives us 2 4s are 8, root 5, 8 root 5. Then we do 2 root 5 multiplied by plus root 5. Now you're going to get 2 times root 5 all squared. And root 5 all squared is just 5, because it's the square root of 25. So you got 2 times 5, which is going to be 10. Okay? Then we go on to minus 3 multiplied by these two terms. Minus 3 times 4 is going to be minus 12. And then you got minus 3 times root 5, which is going to be minus 3 root 5. So all we need to do is just group up our terms. Remember, I've showed you in a previous tutorial that to simplify this kind of thing, you group up the root 5 terms. They're the same kind of term. 8 root 5 minus 3 root 5 is going to be 5 root 5. And then we've got the 10 minus the 12, which is minus 2. And we can't simplify this any further. It's not something like 3 root 5. You can't take the 2 away from the 5, okay? So it's just 5 root 5 minus 2. Okay, well I did say earlier that I'd like you to have a go at this one. And by the way, I've just noticed that I haven't done this one. So, well, what would you like to have a go at this one? Okay, give you a moment just to pause the video. Why don't you try that one, root 6 all cubed, and this one, root 3 minus 3 root 2 all squared. Okay, welcome back then if you had a go. Well, let's just go to the root 6 all cubed. Root 6 all cubed, well, that's really root 6 times root 6 times root 6. Or you could look at it as root 6 all squared multiplied by another root 6. And root 6 all squared is going to be 6 by this rule here. So we've got 6 multiplied by root 6. So there we go, 6 root 6. And how did you get on with this one here? The thing is, you could do it straight off, but what I'm going to do is just put each bracket down again, okay? It's root 3 minus 3 root 2 multiplied by another root 3 minus 3 root 2. And so if we expand this in the usual way, we've got root 3 times root 3 all squared, which is just going to be 3. It's the square root of 9, okay, but by this rule just simply put the value down that's inside the square root. Then we do root 3 times minus 3 root 2, which is going to be minus, and then we've got 3, that's that 3 there, multiplied with root 3 times root 2, which is root 6. 3 root 6 then. Now we come on to this term, multiplied by this term, minus 3 root 2 times root 3. Same thing again as this, it's going to be minus 3 root 6. Okay, minus 3 root 6. And lastly, we've got minus 3 root 2 multiplied by another minus 3 root 2, which is going to be plus, and then we've got 3 times 3, which is 9, and then you've got root 2 times root 2, which is going to be 2. It's the square root of 4, but it's going to come out as 2. So just put that as 9 times 2 there. So what we've got now, if we simplify this, is that we've got 3 here, plus 9 2s are 18, which is going to be 21. And then we've got the 2 root 6 terms. We've got minus 3 root 6 minus another 3 root 6, which is going to be minus a total of 6 root 6. Okay, well I hope you've been able to get to grips with multiplication then of surds through these examples, and they'll help you in the future on this type of question.